Let's get Jameson in here and start a meeting.
What do you think, Pippin?
He doesn't think it. He's fine.
But yeah, Jason had to help me cut Pippin's penis hairs because they were like this long.
Stop saying that.
No. This is medical.
It's medical.
It's very important to keep it trimmed because you don't want because if he pees through it now, it's got wet pee on it all the time. Like you want to make sure that because that can start growing bacteria and get really nasty. You want to make sure that stays short.
But that's
exactly.
what I suggested.
And mostly, I wanted that to be the first thing Jameson heard when he joined the call.
Yeah, notice the surprised face I made.
The funny part is we weren't talking about the dog at all before you joined the call.
That's fair. There's a chance a baby climbs into my lap during this, so
I'm okay with that.
That's fine, yeah.
Yeah, I'll tolerate it.
He's very yelly right now.
He'll toddlerate it.
Hi.
Hi.
Toddlerate?
Please.
Yeah.
Hi. Okay.
He's a toddler.
Please. He started signing please, and I don't know where he got it from.
What?
Yeah. Because we tried to teach him a couple signs when he was, too young to talk. He still is too young to talk. But he barely does the signs that we taught him, but just suddenly he started signing this, which we had to ask his daycare teacher, and they're like, I think that means please. They didn't teach it to him, though.
Oh. Picked it up on the streets.
Hello. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. But if he's picking it up, I say go back to helping teach sign language.
Right.
But that's just me being an advocate. But
no, it's a good skill no matter what. I wish I knew sign language.
Absolutely, 100%. It helps them learn English faster.
Yeah. Get away
even
from
for
it.
hearing babies, sign language is so important.
Let me talk
Get
to your
away from-
friends.
See?
Say more.
Hey,
Hi.
can you do more? Do more. Do more. Or do hi. Do hi. You do all done? All done. No, we're just saying hi. Okay. Pretty much the only signs he knows are more and all done.
I mean, that's extremely
Anything involving
helpful.
food.
Those are the
Yeah.
only two things you need.
Yeah. Except sometimes he signs them both at the same time, so he says more, all done, and
I'm getting
That's
mixed
confusing,
signals.
Yeah.
yeah, pick one.
So, yesterday was a bust for us, but I feel like we caught up. We hit the ground running hard today.
Yeah.
Bree went nuts. I saw you guys were going crazy the last couple of days, so good job, everybody.
Actually, while we're talking, I have a couple more art pieces to throw in the thread here.
All right. Let's do it.
Let's see what else has come in. Okay, I have.
I am recording this for Kickstarter, folks, by the way, and anytime we look at this, I'm just going to post a couple of pieces in the Kickstarter update so people could see it without having to go through the video.
I actually was going to suggest that we record this one because I want to talk about our deadlines today.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Let's get ready to fight. All right.
Let me throw this stuff into the Discord first. So I have, in addition to the stuff you've already seen, I have some more stuff from Kat of the Velmine. Is that how it's pronounced? Velmine? Velmine?
Yeah. Mine.
Yeah. Vel not gonna work here anymore?
Wow. That's good. No one else got that, I don't think. It's an Office Space reference.
Oh.
Naga.
I
Naga-
assumed
Naga.
Velma from Scooby-Doo.
What else do I have? Oh, I have a first draft of Julie. And I have an evergreen. So
these are going in Discord.
yeah, I'll link them in a moment here. I'm just pulling them out of my emails.
You're good. I was just making sure I was in the right spot.
Yep. So Andrew, I realized I hadn't heard from him in almost 4 weeks since he sent that first really rough sketch of the evergreen.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I messaged him a couple days ago. I was like, hey, dude, is everything okay? I've never not heard from you in this amount of time before. And he emailed me this morning with a not complete, but a good work in progress of the Evergreen being like, hey, I was stuck in a mountain town with no internet. He provided no other explanation.
Well, like a
So-
Twin Peaks situation? Or like what?
He declined to explain further.
Fucking signature says, I've seen things.
Yeah. Just a video of him with like a cup of tea.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
He's back on the grid though, for whatever that's worth. Sorry, it takes there's 6 folders I have to jump. So what I do now, because I've been linking everything from Google Drive, is I save any images that come in on my drive, but they come to my Drive homepage, and the image files where we keep all this stuff is 6 folders deep. So I'm pushing them a level, jump into that folder, push them a level, jump into that folder.
It's so organized, it's a pain in the ass to get through sometimes.
Yeah, but if we stop now, it'll be worse.
Oh, way worse. Oh, God, yeah.
All right, so let me put in. Here's the Evergreen. I'm gonna cease with the bullet points right now just to get these out.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on. Oh shit. I shopped a little bit for a new computer yesterday, and my computer I think knows that, and it's acting up.
My fan's dying.
No, I just turned it off. I hoped you wouldn't notice.
What does that sound then?
Oh. Oh, wait, is that my fan?
Oh, that's your computer.
Love that.
Honey, I just reinstalled your operating system.
Oh, that's not a good sound it's making.
Uh-oh.
That's
Your-
definitely the fan, though.
Your fan should sound like it's sending Morse code, right?
We're just gonna shut that down for now.
On my first
with
computer,
that
I had to
later.
replace my
That's
fan.
unfortunate.
Oh, man.
Pretty!
I have a spare.
Oh, there we go.
I have a spare. So I like to keep spares of everything if I can. So if it's something easy, I'll just swap it out.
Can I make a note on the Evergreen?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Evergreen, let's see.
Okay, well, I mean, is this still a work in progress?
Yeah, it's not finished.
Okay. Well, just my only thing is, they look like trees in the front, but then as you move back, it looks like grass.
Yeah.
And then Calcos doesn't look very big. It just looks like a tree in grass.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that.
Okay,
Shit, I want to fuck Julie so hard.
hold on. Let me.
Julie's hot.
Sorry, Julie's
We'll get to
super
banging
hot.
Julie. Don't worry. Look. So
I've been
with
trying for years.
with Calcos, I think because we could see so much of the base, it extra makes it look like it's just sitting in grass. It's a grassy field.
Right.
S-
So you want to have taller trees around it, kind of?
Yeah, I imagine it popping up out of the canopy of trees, not
Not lording over the canopy.
like
of
it looks like
trees.
it's sitting on top of the trees. Otherwise, you know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
So less trunk then?
Yeah, you see how wide it gets?
Less junk in the trunk, yes.
There's no way that would continue down at that rate through those trees.
Yeah,
Oh,
you can
I
see
see
the
what you're
root.
saying.
Yeah, you can see the root coming out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it needs to be more straight, so it
Yeah.
so it seems more like it's going
Yeah.
down into them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
What do we got here? B.
All of the vitamins.
Ooh, okay. Okay, hold on.
Skipped
That's the
right
one.
over
Okay,
the chicken one
Julie.
thing, but
Let's look
okay.
at Julie first. Okay, yeah. I dig that.
Mhm.
That's good.
I think we should also have DeepMind do Una in this case.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Do we have a full body of Una coming up?
I don't think Una's
It's a
on the
bust.
list.
It's a
A
bust?
bust, yeah.
Una's on the list, but it's a bust, unless
Yeah.
you removed her for somebody else.
No,
but-
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think
Okay.
she's still under. I don't have the bust memorized right now because there's still
Yeah.
30 left to be done. But I have the remaining bodies memorized because there's only
Yeah.
6 to be done.
Well, I just remember the big 3 kind of story drivers from Arc 1, Malchus, Dagon, Una, all ended up being busts for the book, which I think is a nice set,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
I think sometimes it depended on okay, have they gotten art before and how good is that art? Yeah, that didn't shut down, did it?
Also.
No.
I shut it down and then it didn't shut down.
Okay. Looking at the. Oh, careful.
I'm just holding. I said shut down.
So there's a lot to like
I
about
did not
Cat's
hit
art.
restart.
One of my favorite things is the names of the different versions that they make.
Yeah, that's fun looking at.
Yeah.
Just ew.
You know
I
what,
mean,
let's open these.
So if it was me, I'm a fan of either Back of the Fridge or the shiny Pokemon. Because the Pokemon one is very different than what I think would be expected. Hi, dude. Are you? Oh, you're playing with the ball.
I'm thinking.
I like shiny Pokemon too, but I also don't know a lot about the Velmine and like what it's supposed to be.
Essentially, it's rot. It's this it's a demon that takes up residency in houses and buildings and things like that, and usually hunkers down near the basement area or someplace that doesn't get traveled much. And it's almost like black mold as a demon that slowly spreads out and contaminates and blights things within the house. So
Gross.
it's so
It's
gross.
a demon?
Yeah. Not
It's
one
like
of the
a
higher
mold
ups.
demon?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lower tier demon.
It's a gross
Turn that
demon.
fan
It's a
back
gross
on.
demon. Huh?
You turn the fan back on.
I did turn the fan back
See,
on.
so here, if it were me, that my preference would actually be number 2, but with the purple of number 3 rather than the blue on number 2. You know, on that right arm. Your left, it's right.
Yeah.
I like the purple better than the blue, but I overall like the color scheme of the second one better.
I feel like the third one, like the colors feel very like muted and kind of muddy. And I know
Yeah.
it's supposed to be like mold, but
Yeah.
it could still be like colorful mold.
Yeah,
I
mold is pretty colorful.
I keep bouncing between 1 and 2.
Okay,
As far
I
as
feel like Cat could take that note and do something with it, though. Honestly, like Cat's good enough, I think.
that's true. I like 1 because it kind of makes me think of like pus, but I'm not sure if that's what you're going for.
I mean, it's kind of a combination of things because it's a living being. Like
Mhm.
it's not just like a living bush or something like that.
Like a ghillie suit.
Right. I wanted it to come off more as like, yeah, it's kind of this diseased nature. So like pus combined with mold is kind of perfect. Like
Well, there
that's
you go.
If you ever watched like a Planet Earth documentary, it fast forwards through like mold overtaking something
Right.
type thing. Yeah, which is disgusting.
it's so
Yeah,
gross.
It's the worst. I hate
Yeah.
how it bloats up for a second.
Life
before
is
it-
disgusting,
Yeah.
guys.
Life is
just-
disgusting. Let's end it.
You know
Oh my
what?
god, big.
I'm thinking 1.
One.
Shiny
Okay.
Pokemon?
I'm thinking 1.
Shiny
The shiny
Pokemon.
type
Okay.
Pokemon.
Yeah, let's go for it. That's way different from any of the other demon designs. So let's.
I
do
kinda
it.
like that.
I like it.
Just so you know,
Yeah.
Shiny isn't a type of Pokemon. Shiny is a version of a specific Pokemon.
Well,
A type would be like
which
poison
edition
type,
of Pokemon
normal
is with the shinies?
They all
Don't
had
they all
shinies.
have shiny?
Yeah, I'm just trying to
Wait,
get
I
under
don't
his
even-
skin.
Oh.
Even
It's
back
like
when it was
a-
black and white, you could still have a shiny Pokemon. You just didn't
No.
know it. It was based on the IVs and the number.
You're fun at parties, I bet.
Damn right. At parties where people care about the. I don't care. I'm stopping.
Now that's good though. I dig it.
Okay. Cool.
Um,
So aside from that, let me just roll through art stuff real quick before we get into other things. I want to just see if there's anything else I need to update you on.
yep.
Oh, so Crowbar says she can do the demons like she did the gods, but she is booked up for a while. She said she'll be able to hit the demons in November, which I think is fine.
Yeah. She's
Considering
really fast.
when she started the deities, she moved real quick. So
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about that.
Is this a
we-
November 1st situation or
Yeah.
later in November? Okay.
Yeah, like basically she's booked up for October.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah. So it also gives us time to make sure we have all those descriptions. I don't know. I didn't
They're
see
all
them
done.
in the folder. Oh, they're
Every
done.
description
Okay.
you needed is done.
Perfect. Okay. So Crowbar is on standby until then. Who else? Couple people I still need to check in on that I haven't heard from in a little while. I'm pretty up to date with almost everybody though.
How's Britt doing?
Britt's doing good. I actually checked in with her yesterday, the day before, and she is working on some sketches, but she's also finishing up some stuff that was on her plate before I contacted her and getting that out of the way. So she assured me that I will see something very soon. And I said, okay, and we will see. Okay. But I'm optimistic because I have to be. So. But yeah, I'll keep you posted on that. I'm definitely keeping a very close eye on that situation just because it hasn't gone smoothly yet, and I would really like it to. So
there's a shirtless child in the background.
Are you stealing Fritos? Get out of my Fritos.
There's a shirtless thief in the background.
By the way, he approached that table like 3 other times while you weren't looking.
He's weirdly aware of when he's on camera.
That's amazing. Good
job. So, what else?
Buttons.
Just to let you know, every demon description has been done, both Pantheon and regular. Every emblem for the demons has been done. Every single landscape ready to go.
Okay, that is awesome, because that means that all I need is from you is like, hey, someone, Rodolfo's done, give me another one, and then I can just roll with it as soon as you tell me which one you want him to do.
Honestly, if I get time, I might just sit and work on some, I'll do 10, 15 characters one day or something like that.
Yeah.
So
that's what I was going to suggest. I
can just make a list of characters for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just roll through the image list, and if you do 3 to 5 a day of everything there is left to do, and that those descriptions are just available, then I think that will shave down our total wait time between getting the artist going again.
Yeah, and I'm looking to improve that wherever we can.
Yeah, for sure. So.
He literally crawled so he wouldn't be on camera as he walked past. That's so funny.
You want to just take the bag? Just take the bag.
That's the fastest I've ever seen him move.
He's quick. He's quick.
He's very fast.
So, there's an 80% chance a nude baby's going to run by at some point, too. So.
Okay, well.
It's in the bath.
YouTube knows what to do.
Demonetize.
I think every video we've ever posted has been demonetized anyway. We make
You're not
no
supposed
money.
to say the F word in the first minute.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Wow. I think that's it for artists. Let's talk about maps, because I talked to Daniel about maps.
Yeah, we kind of wanted to talk to you about maps too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what did you guys want to talk about?
We're not going to make it at this rate.
No, we're not. I think, though, that's a net positive, and let me tell you why. I think that if we choose Daniel's, what I haven't talked to him yet about, okay, first I told him you have 3 months to do 6 maps. How do you think? And he was like, there's no way in hell. But what I realized is actually 5 maps, because I was counting Titan Shard Bunker, so it's only 5 maps left.
Yeah, no, that's that. Yeah.
Although it's 6 maps if you count the regional edit of the Alara map, so 5.5 maps.
Yeah.
Either way, he can't do it in 3 months. He said he could probably do 3. I don't even want to hold him to that, because it's the holidays. A map a month would be lightning fast for the way this has been going so far.
Yeah.
And I think we can get faster, but I don't want to do it just for the sake of doing it. So I think if we use Daniel's workflow as a guideline for the rest of the production process of this, we try to line up so that we're finishing at the same time Daniel is, I think that we give ourselves more room to make the book better overall by the time he's done.
Okay.
So you're saying change the timeline?
Yes, and here's why I think it's okay to do that. I know that we said April in the Kickstarter, right?
Yeah.
That was a guess. It was a guess. So we initially thought when we sat down to start work on this project that it was feasible to have it done before DragonCon. But it was going to be a lot of work. And then we thought, well, okay, so that's not actually feasible. So end of the year, and then we can get it to print in January. We have been, since Dragon Con, I would argue that we're going as fast as we reasonably can for people who have work, so for people who have school, for people who produce podcasts every day.
Yeah.
I don't know that we can go faster than we're going right now. And we are already 2 weeks behind where I had us at with the schedule that I made. Right. My goal was to keep us on track, my goal was to have every region 100% finished by the first weekend of October. We're going on the third weekend of October. We don't have any regions 100% finished. And that was with us moving as fast as we can. And we can continue to get faster because we're all getting better at this. But at this pace, without making serious compromises, we're not going to hit the end of the year with art, definitely with maps, and maybe with writing.
Okay. I don't want to cut you off. Okay. The way I've lined it up in my head, and I let's put aside the whole done by Dragon Con thing, because I was talking to Bree about this the other day, and I could feel you pushing back against the time. Every time I mentioned a date, or every time I mentioned a portion of the timeline, you're like, we'll see. And I could feel you kind of preemptively prepping me to have this conversation. And I get where you're coming from, but there's no way in hell that the writing is the thing that's going to hold us up. I don't think, anyway.
Well, first draft, maybe. But remember, one section of the book, the largest section of the book, the regions, was already a third of the way done, with most of the cities being done before we even started this process. And we still don't have a single region done. So I believe that we could get the first draft of the entire book written in November.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that even includes all the modules. I don't know. I don't think that's a lot of writing. We have maybe 50%. Well, we've got a lot of the NPCs written in a really rough draft. We have some of the monsters. We have some of the mechanics. We have a skeleton of a lot of stuff, but we don't have everything. We have none of the modules started except for a concept, which is fine. But I think that to expect, based on the pace we've been going, which we all agree is as fast as reasonably expected over the past 3 weeks, based on the pace we've been going, I don't think end of the year is feasible anymore. I agree. If this book is late, it's not going to be because of me. I made that decision. I'm going to I spend every minute of my spare time pretty much working on this. And and that's not to say anything other than to say it takes a lot of work to get this done. This every section of this book, every piece of lore, we haven't even started on the fiction. Every piece of lore hits 6 rounds of revision minimum before it's finished.
And before we get any deeper into the nitty-gritty, this isn't about how hard we're working on this, because I know that every time it passes through one of us, none of us are passing the buck. None of us are saying, "Oh, yeah, Valerie could take care of this," or that, we're all busting our ass.
Yeah.
I feel like there have been certain portions of things like artwork that have been that are just moving slower, like landscapes was one of them, because we just realized that, and now we're course correcting by hiring 5 new landscape people, so we're moving 5 times faster than we were. We're now working on 4, 5, 6 landscapes at once now, and one of our landscape people just disappeared into the fucking mountains for a month, and we don't know why. And that's a thing that happens. But you take Daniel, for instance. We all agreed that we wanted to keep that style, and if we get another person working on maps, there's no way we can guarantee that. But at the same time, since we've been funded, we've had 2 maps done since May.
Yeah.
It's October. That's not a map a month.
No, you're right. And I think that the only way we get a map a month from this point forward is by changing our process, both us and Daniel. And that involves a certain amount of buy-in from everybody, including Daniel, and that involves a certain amount of luck. because you never know when people might lose power or get lost in the mountains, or whatever else. The holidays are coming up in the middle of what we're talking about being crunch time as well.
Right.
And I'm trying to take that into consideration because honestly, we're talking about the back end of that process being 90% on Jasper during the holidays.
I know. And I'm all for getting as much as we can get done. And yeah, I mean, we can look at it right now and say we don't have a single region done. That's because we've been working on it in layers all the way up until now. We can't work on one section and do it the 6 revisions and then work on the next one like Locusts, because that would be far slower than, say, Bree going ahead and working on cities and me going ahead and working on NPCs and stats and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons I wanted to start talking about things like modules weeks ago. And there's things that we're just going to have to bite the bullet, and sometimes these meetings are going to be long as hell, but we have to start working on these because a lot of that's going to be on me and Bree, the first bit of writing. Like, I'm chasing people down. I've talked to 9 or 10 of the high-level backers to get what's going to break down to bullet point lists of things that they want. And I can talk to you about that in depth in a bit, but the bottom line is, once we say it's not coming out in April, like, that's it. Like, we've accepted defeat in my eyes.
But that's objectively untrue. That's not what defeat is. Defeat is we didn't get the project done. I know it's your personal goal is to get it out at that time, but you literally threw a dart at the board at a calendar year before the book could be done. That wasn't based on anything except for
I don't agree with
nice to do.
Because we sat down when we were coming up with the pitch a long time ago. We put the Dragon Con thing as like, look, that's that's not even wishful thinking. That's physically impossible. And I copped to that a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't think 9 months after Dragon Con is physically impossible. I think that it's hard as hell, and it's something that's going to require me personally staying up a hell of a lot.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Hi.
This is the best possible time.
Yeah. Hi. I know. Hi. No, I agree. And here's the thing. Like I said, hi, dude. Okay.
Coming.
Bye. So,
I also realize that this is a super tense thing to have to discuss, especially in this context, and I'm sorry.
It's fine. So, here's my thing, is my goal is to get the book done as quickly as possible. I would love nothing more. I'd love to be done in November, honestly, and the amount of work that I put into it, and it's not about the amount of work that I do, because every one of us spends all of our spare time working on this book, but that's the thing. Every one of us spends all of our spare time working on the book.
Right.
So if that's the amount of work that gets done in that amount of time, you can't expand on that, except for improving the process, which we've been doing continually since last January.
Right.
Right. So the only way to, throw the projected timeline out the window. My goal is to continue to get better and faster at this entire process the entire way through.
Okay.
The track that we're on right now tells me we're not done in December. That might mean January. That might mean 2 weeks into January. I don't know. But I think that sticking to the book will be in the mail by April is going to get us nowhere. I don't think it's going to help us with the project.
I think it's a little too early to throw in the towel on that idea, especially over one artist. I like Daniel. I like what he does. He's done 4 maps now for us. That's not even the majority of the maps.
Overdale. Yeah, Winterhaven, Overdale, Esterholt. That's 3 maps.
Yeah, and the world map. So that's 4.
And the world map, 4, yeah.
That's 4 out of 9. He hasn't even done the majority of the maps yet. If we get a second artist on this, it will still be a balanced book, and we don't have to bend over to a timeline that we can't control with Daniel.
Okay, so here's the thing: is my understanding was that we had agreed not to get a second map artist, but if
Right.
you guys are talking about that, then that changes things a little bit. It doesn't still make it.
It doesn't make things easier, but
No.
it makes that one hurdle. I'd rather try to fix that one hurdle and keep, because the thing that you said was like that was a personal goal. It wasn't. It was a promise we made to people who gave us $85,000.
No, I get that, but also I think that anybody except for the most unreasonable person who backs a crowdfunded project understands that the production process has hiccups. And if the book doesn't come out in April,
Totally
I don't think
agree.
you're going to see people cancel their
I
subscription.
do totally agree with that. What I will say is, I think that if we did put up this conversation we're having right now, I think a lot of people would wonder, why don't they just look for a second map artist so that I can get my book on time? And that's why I brought it up, because that seems to be, if the map is what's holding us back right now, 100%, and there's still a chance that we can catch up on everything else, which we only implemented the whole list system like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and already that has like pulled us forward a lot.
Well, okay. Let's do two things. One, let's take expectations from listeners and all that off the table for a minute. This is let's just talk about our process and what we're doing.
Okay.
For the longest time, we've been relying very heavily on the Trello board and stuff, which served us well until we started doing the remaking lists, and you're updating things on your end, and you're handling the artist in a different way. We've seen more artwork in the last month than I think we've seen in the last 3.
Right, and that comes down to the process improvement.
Right.
But what I'm also noticing with some of the artists who we've had for a little while is slowdown.
Oh, totally.
And I don't know if that's burnout. I don't know if that's people get busy. I don't know if it's a combination of the two. I expect, unless we're continually adding new artists, which isn't out of the question, we do have that potential. But with new artists comes a week to talk to them about terms and get them the contract and get them started and work out kinks with their process. And maybe they're not what we expect.
We got
and we
very,
get more
very
Savas.
lucky with the landscape people.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like,
I figured
batted
ridiculously
1,000 on that.
Jesus,
yeah.
dude, I figured I would suggest 5 or 6 of those people, and 2 of them would work out. That's
I reached out to 2 new people yesterday, and I haven't even heard back from them yet for characters.
yeah,
so.
and it's a complete crapshoot.
It's a complete crapshoot. So we struck gold there, but like how many pieces are they good for? I'm not even like.
They might do 1 and flake. Who knows? Like.
So here, I think that setting expectations is very good, and I think that setting expectations for April being the ideal date to get the book is perfectly fine. But I think that setting expectations that it might not happen, depending on all the things that could happen between now and then, is also perfectly reasonable. And I feel like right now, it's the book comes out in April or we've all failed. And I don't think you're being fair to yourselves or anybody else with that expectation.
Okay. I guess the simplest way is for me to tell you my motto when it comes to projects like this. The entire time, I want to do my damnedest to make sure that we either hit our goal or get as close to it as humanly possible.
Sure.
I don't want April to come, and whoever else feels like this, fine, but I don't want to be able to look back on work I've done and say, Jesus, if we just did this, we would have made it. And if it comes down to, okay, if we can look at how many maps we're getting and realize now, if we don't pull the plane up, we're going to crash, why wouldn't we pull the plane up? That we're like, there's been no other artist or writer or layout person or anything that this project's relied on where we're just going to look at it and accept, well, and we have months to correct this, and we just choose not to.
And I fall in between your two thinking, where I do think that if we miss April, I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't want to already be planning to do that.
Yeah.
When this situation with Daniel is something, like Jason said, that we can pull the plane up now and try to correct. And if we get closer to April and realize then, okay, this still isn't working, but we got another map guy and we did everything we could to make it work, then I'd feel better than just like, well, we're going to change everything we're doing to fit Daniel's timeline because he's going too slowly for us. And I love Daniel. I love his work. We're paying a premium for Daniel. He speaks a different language, so a lot of the times we need to send the maps back because things aren't correct because it's not his native language, which is fine. But again, like, it might just be faster and better if we find a second person, just one other person, to maybe make the process go a little faster.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not married to we have to use Daniel and nobody else. I thought that was what we had all decided was best for the project. But one, I think if we tripled the number of map makers we have right now, I think we still have the same issue where I don't believe the book will reasonably be done by January 30 or December 31st. I don't think Daniel was the reason for that. I think that he was kind of like the canary in the coal mine for that.
I don't. I'm not. To be clear, I'm not blaming Daniel.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm not leaning on him as the excuse for why it's not going to work. I'm saying that even if Daniel said, "Yeah, I can knock out 6 maps in 3 months," I still think that expecting to get the rest of this book done when literally right now none of it is done, and we've been working on it since April. We've been working on it since January.
Well, we worked on the pitch till April, and then we pretty much put a stop on things until we knew we'd get funded.
The Northlands just needs to be
we stopped for 6 weeks, but since January we've stopped for 6 weeks. So
it's been pretty much all go.
And call it a week for DragonCon 2, whatever. But my point being that we now have 3 months until the self-inflicted deadline that we have.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening, and that's not to say that I'm not going to try for it to happen. I'm just saying that there is so much to do.
Writing on the wall for people who are watching this right now.
That feels really dire. I want to set expectations to say, hey, like, we are doing clearly everything we can. Like, I work on this. I have a window open while I'm at work.
Yeah,
and I work on this while I'm on the clock at my job.
I think Susan's doing that right now, too.
Yeah,
yeah, Susan's doing that as we speak.
Yeah.
So nobody, if they're being reasonable, can accuse us of not doing everything we can to get the book out when it needs to be out. And I'm not saying anybody will, but if that's the case, then it's not a failure if we don't get it out on January 31st into the printer's hands.
And I can only tell you how I feel about it. I know that it's not an unequivocal failure. That's not how I mean it. I mean it as we made a promise, and I think that it's a realistic one. I think 1 year after we get funded is a realistic goal to get done. So the December 31st thing, that's a goal I set because I thought we can do it. If it goes beyond that, we still get the books in people's hands by April. Like, yeah, there needs to be finalization for layout and spell check and all that, and it all has to be put into a package that's a printable PDF at the end of the day. But if that process goes into January and February, we still get people's books to them in April. Do you know what I'm saying?
I mean, that would be very nice.
With 5 months to work on it, do you feel like that's more realistic?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I here's the thing. I would still like to have the book done before the end of the year.
We all would.
Yes, I would love that. I would love that because
I've got. There's still a part of me that believes that at least the rough draft can be done by then. Maybe even
more.
The
rough draft will 100% be done by then. I believe that. I believe that that'll be done before Christmas.
Yeah.
But that's a rough draft, and we know how many rounds of revision every single piece of text in this book is going through. And that's on us. We decided to do that ourselves. Nobody's making us do that, but I think it's making for a better product.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
Yeah, I think we all hold ourselves to a standard that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's put all this on hold for just a second. We're holding ourselves to a standard that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
In terms of, there's more artwork in this book than there is in fucking Wizards of the Coast books, and that's not me throwing shade at Wizards. That's
you putting your dick on the table.
That's me.
Wizards.
Boom. There it is. and they're putting out 7-8 books a year or whatever, and they have teams of people to do it. There are 7 of us.
7, because me.
7 Jasper, counting Jasper.
Yeah.
And
It's 6 counting Jasper,
The
isn't it?
6 counting Jasper.
Six.
one,
Yeah.
two, three, four, five, 6. Yes.
Yeah. It was
And
confusing because I was counting windows at first, and then I was like, but there's 2 people in this
And the
window.
Phantom
And then-
team member that
So-
I've invented.
So that's
See,
the
6
thing
is more than
is
one hand, so it's hard.
for the level of product that we're making for
Yeah.
people who have jobs, school, families, other shit to do. The level of product we're making for a 6-person team where professional companies have 30 people working on these projects.
I know.
I think that a calendar year turnaround is a miracle, honestly. Like, and if we can do it, I would love to do it because
Yeah.
first of all, that would be great. I would feel good about it. We'd all be able to move on with our lives.
And we'll work on the
Start the
next
next
book.
book.
Yeah.
Start on the next book.
next Kickstarter. Hell yeah.
I'll start digging my grave in the backyard now.
Well, okay. This is
Say goodbye
the
to your children,
we're-
you
we're-
know?
Yeah.
okay. In my eyes, we're casing the joint and robbing it a little. So, if this is successful, I want to get this book into Barnes and Noble. I want to get this book everywhere. This isn't just some.
Sorry, would you want to sell the book, like in comic book shops?
I want to sell on the moon if we can get it on the moon,
Okay.
Valerie.
Well, no, because a friend of mine, I found out there's a comic book shop right over here, and a friend of mine is friends with the owner.
Oh shit!
So it's possible I could be like, hey, listen, we made this really cool book. Like, do you want to sell it in your store?
I'm
So-
looking everywhere into this. I don't want this to be like a DM's Guild thing or a printable, like, oh, you can get it on demand. I want it everywhere. I want it on Amazon. We're looking into that. We're like,
Yeah.
I want all of us to get some sort of residual or something for this, some sort of bonus for getting this done. That's what I want. And by the time we hit the next Kickstarter for the next book,
No.
we won't be going through this process because maybe we can expand the team a little bit so that we're not, we're not all Atlas. We're not all trying to fucking hoist the world up on our shoulders. I want...
Good reference.
Thank you. I like, all of us are doing everything we can. You're absolutely right. I still think we can get this book out by April.
Yeah.
And I know that there's tons on me. That's why I've been killing myself on Scions and trying to figure out a way around things like Titan Shard Bunker because I know we're going to need maps. And I looked at the writing on the wall a long time ago and realized we're not going to get 12 fucking maps for modules in any kind of timely process unless either
Or
we do it
on our budget.
or on our budget or it's unreasonable. So something I've been trying to give on certain things a long time ago to help this process. Yeah, there's still tons of fiction to write. Me and Bree were going to work on that. I'm trying to get these modules going. I there's so much left to do, and I know that, and I'm trying to lift up as much of it as possible before it would. You know what I mean? Like I know you wanted to get the book done before the modules got started. I'm trying to speed up that process so none of it's jamming us up, I guess.
Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I made a book last year, but it wasn't this book. This is a 400-page book and a however many page module book and an art book and all these things. So this is essentially a first time for all of us, and I think
Yeah.
we've learned a lot since January.
Christ, I
As
bet if we
far
could
as-
go back in time and look at our January selves, we'd...
Yeah, but there's you can't do anything about that. We're gonna know more in December than we know right now about
Totally.
how to make a book, and we're gonna know more after the second book than we know right. Jesus Christ!
I like that Odin left like, I'm gonna go help.
I got sent home from work yesterday because I almost had a panic attack at my desk.
Oh my god.
So I'm
okay.
having a week.
Yeah, that's
okay.
why I didn't want this to turn into a fight. We all
No.
want the best thing.
I don't think it's a fight.
No, I
No,
know.
I don't think it's a fight. I think that what I would like from this conversation, one, I want to begin to set listeners' expectations that we're still shooting for April, and I think that's a perfectly
No, I
fine target. But even if you're shooting for April and we hit May,
Right.
Yeah.
that's what it took to get the book out. And I want
Right.
to set that expectations both with everybody on the team and with listeners.
Yeah, and
Secondly,
I don't think anybody, just to not to interrupt, but I don't think there's a single goddamn listener. That might be one. That's like, hey man, you said this. They know we're shooting for it.
Yeah.
They
Our
know.
communication is better than almost every other Kickstarter I've ever backed.
Yeah, and I just don't want to fall into the fucking Kickstarter cliche of, well, we promised it in April, maybe July, like, you know.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's the case I think that's my whole thing about setting expectations is we're never guessing.
Yeah.
I don't want to guess. I don't want to guess April. And if we don't hit April, I don't want to guess July. I just want to be like, based on where we're at right now and how much there is left to do, here's what we're looking at. We'd love to hit April, but we don't know yet.
Right.
You know? And I want, hi, you psycho.
I like that he's smiling while he cries. Hello.
Yes. So not only am I trying to set expectations for us and for everybody else, but I'm also trying to reframe what it means to miss that deadline, because I don't want to look at it as a failure, even a qualified failure. All it is we guessed. Get off of me.
I wanted to be up here, but now I changed my mind.
All it is we guessed, and we guessed wrong.
Yeah.
Because we know that we're doing everything we can between now and then to get the book done. We've never done this before. It was a guess. You know what I mean?
And there are companies I watch. Again, not to name names. Let's put Wizards aside, because they're a gross version of what we're looking at. They have huge teams and Hasbro money and all that shit. Let's look at the independent creators that we've done panels with and are friends with. They have teams of 20 or 30. And they barely get a book turned around in a year from a Kickstarter. So I know that what we're trying to do is Herculean.
Yeah.
And look, if it comes down to it, I know shipping from China is going to take a long-ass time. It's going to take us a long time to get a hardcover proof so that we can look at it, look through it, and go, yes, 1,000 of these, please. I know it's going to take time. So I'm trying to get as much done as possible to get as close to that April date as we can. If we shoot over it, or if things take a little longer in transit, fine. We've done everything I don't look at that as a failure. If we're still writing the book in April, that's a failure.
Yeah.
If we're still writing the book in April, it means that we didn't do everything we could.
No.
So that's not the case. I don't think that's the issue.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're still working on the book in April.
No,
like the book should be in the print. No, here's the thing. Do I think that December 31st is a long shot? Kind of. Do I think that January 31 days in January? Yeah, January 31st is a long shot? Not really. Like, I don't think we're that far off. But it's hard to say, because I can't be beyond what we're working on right now, which is producing as much of the art as possible and completing first drafts on some stuff and finished drafts on other stuff. I don't yet have a good idea, none of us do, of what the rest of this process looks like. The module production process is going to be extremely different than what we're doing right now. Just the game mechanic stuff that you're working on right now is going to have a different process than what we're doing right now.
I found that out the hard way. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what that looks like yet.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't done that yet.
And he has to run tests. Like, we have to do a whole group of scions and run them through a game to make sure that they're working functionally properly.
So, and that's the thing is, just when we get good at this part, we're going to be done with this part and have to move on to the next part.
Yeah.
And that's going to be new again, and we're going to have some experience, but some of it's going to have some catching points. And we're going to have this conversation every few weeks about, okay, based on how we're going right now,
what trajectory
when do we think we can go to print?
Yeah.
And I don't think that setting last April, and continuing to hold ourselves to that standard is the best idea for us or for backers, honestly.
And I do get what you're saying. I think when we started this conversation, I thought we were much further apart in our expectations. I don't think that now. I think we're a lot closer than, because the way you were talking, it's like, yeah, maybe next year sometime. Like, that's what I thought you were.
No.
Yeah,
my goal. Here's the thing. I have 3 other projects I'm trying to get started on, and I can't until this is done. I want it done. I want it done. I want it in my hands. You know.
I do too. I'm tired of talking about it. I just want to. I want that, and I know what we're making is something special, and I don't think that, like, there has been no part of this process, even before funding, where we started putting our heads together, started working on it, and I wasn't more excited about it the next day. Yeah. Every time we see new art, every time I see a new draft of something, every time I see checkmark bullet point messages in Discord now, everyone's just killing. It's like, yeah, I checked this, I checked it. Like everyone's doing it, like you said, at work, at night when they should be sleeping. Valerie, when when
I can only work on it at night.
I know.
I can really only work on the weekends. Like,
I know.
honestly, because my weekdays are just so busy.
It caused me anxiety yesterday that our power was off and I physically couldn't work on the book. And
I get anxiety every time Valerie tweets.
Yeah, I know.
I haven't eaten in 3 days. I don't know what the sun is anymore. Chemistry.
Should I be bleeding from the nose constantly? Bye. Like that's the end of the tweet.
Yeah.
My blood is crystallized. What's happening?
So I do think, like, okay, yeah. At the end of each month, maybe we should have a special meeting where we just realize it's like, okay, this one's going to be long. What's the thing holding us? Like, what's the thing that needs the most attention? Because
in project management, I have a certificate, guys.
Oh, wow.
In project management, there's a concept called the critical path, which is the thing which every other part of the production depends on. Up until this point, it's been the maps, because we know the maps are going to take X amount of time based on the amount of time they've taken. Mm-hmm. So you build the rest of your schedule around that. If we change the map production, add a second map artist, or just get Daniel to work faster, I'm literally going to email him tonight and be like, hey,
short of whipping him, I don't think that we're going to be able to do that.
I mean, here's the thing. Just like I was slow to catch up with some of the artists this summer, I was slow to catch up with Daniel as well. Esther Holt happened very fast.
It did, but even he's like, yeah, dude, like, okay. Did he give you a number, like a counter proposal? Because if you said, oh, we need 6 more maps, and he said, fuck you. Was there a number that he was like, I can't do that in 3 months? Did he say 4, 5, 6? Like, what is a reasonable amount?
That was going to be part of my follow-up with him. What he did say was, I can't do 6 maps in 3 months. I could probably do 3. So extrapolating from that...
6. If we're extrapolating, like, okay, if he thinks he could do 3 maps in 3 months, then 6 maps in 6 months.
Right. Well, it's 5 maps.
Okay.
But yeah.
I thought you meant
5
that he can do 6 maps.
Well,
in 3
okay,
months.
we talked about getting. Are we counting a world map in there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the 3 remaining cities, 4 remaining cities, world map, and the
region.
So
version 5.5. Yeah, you're right.
5.5 map. So if you guys want to change the critical path by having a second map artist, that's totally fine. That changes the equation. Yeah. But we still have a critical path. I don't know what that is right now. Maybe it's completing all of the artwork. Maybe it's completing all of the writing. It's probably what it's got. Well, it definitely is one of those. It's probably the fucking modules.
I need to talk to you about that. Yeah.
Well, no, it's the volume of writing that's left to be done. We still have so many pieces that haven't even been started. We have so many pieces that haven't been complete. We have all the pieces that haven't been completed. But so we need to figure out what that is. If it's not the maps, and we can plan around that. That's what we need to do. That's what I need to do if we can find another map artist.
Right. Which
I will start doing. But I forget where I started with this because my baby keeps running in the room.
Critical path.
So that is going to be what that monthly meeting is being like, how are we on that path and how much are we filling up the time around it, basically, is what we need to be doing. And I think we have been doing, just without calling it that.
Yeah, I think so.
And again, I don't have a certificate in project management.
Oh, in biochemistry, there's a similar concept called the rate limiting factor.
I could see you
so it's like,
that
what
back
is it?
for like the last 2 minutes.
I have.
It's devouring her soul little
like
by
a
little.
It's kept getting wider and wider, like...
Kami! So, okay.
Let her tell us about the biology thing. She was excited.
No, just that there's a rate limiting factor, and it's essentially the same thing. It's like, what is the thing that is stopping a reaction from going faster? You know, there's always something
limiting
that's...
it.
Wait, what?
Or limiting it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just the same concept. And I was
it's the bottleneck. What's the bottleneck?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah. So, and again, I'm doing that as well on my end when okay, Scions. Scions have taken me weeks to adapt what we did from 4E to 5E and make it fun. That's taken time. That's why I basically crossed the finish line today for a rough draft. I'm like, everybody look at this, see if it's okay or shit. So that I know what I can, like, that's That's the biggest project in this entire book for me. The biggest individual project was basically reinventing an entire class, making sure it's been play tested enough and fun. That was the biggest thing. And when I'm working on stuff like that, I'm out of commission, so Bree can work on things like, oh, I'm doing towns and cities, and she could just, rigidly go through that.
All the regions have their rough draft.
The next biggest thing for me is going to be modules. That's why I wanted to get started on that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to need, it's an all hands on deck situation, because you're right. I've never done this many this quickly before, and the last time, okay, me, Val, and Kelsey were working on them, and that was a disaster in terms of keeping on track, because we're all busy. We're all. I think this.
I wasn't involved in that though, so.
You didn't want to be.
Got a leg up this time. No, that wasn't me going. Oh, I wasn't involved,
okay.
And my feelings are hurt. That's me being like, I'll help.
Yeah, no, and it wasn't a disaster because of Kelsey or Val. It was just like, yeah, we'll get to it, and then we just didn't.
I'm just the master of tagging people.
That's
90% of my qualifiers for this job.
That's what I do with the artists. I just needed them to just, hey, you do it yet?
This
That's
entire
it.
thing
I gave you guys all a color, so that helps.
This entire thing is plate spinning. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And that monthly meeting at the end is just going to be like, okay, what's about to fall? What do we work on? I don't think anything should be a limiting factor for us for any amount of time if the solution is, let's just get more of them. It's the same thing with the landscapes. We looked at the landscapes and said, let's do some math here. We've gotten this many landscapes in 6 months.
Yeah.
What are we on track for? 2021? Okay. We need some more we need some more landscape folks.
Well, to that end, I would like to at least seriously consider expanding this team.
Okay.
Because here's my thing. Modules, we had a little bit of this discussion kind of last night with Titan Shard Bunker. I am not a useful person when it comes to game design. I will fully admit that. I look at it and go, everything's spelled right.
I feel like I'm bothering you immensely. And
no, it's not that. It's just I don't have a head for game balance. I don't have a head for
my best contribution is that sounds like what I read in the books and don't understand.
Yeah, so I think what would benefit this team if we're moving into Titan Shard Bunker, the modules, game balance for scions, stat blocks for monsters, I think we should have somebody on the team who is very good at that type of thing. And I don't know who that is off the top of my head. I don't know if you guys have anybody in mind that would be good for that type of thing, but I think that it's something to think about. And I think we could use a person, at least one person who's skilled at that, who has the availability and the interest. And now we're talking about a unicorn.
Yeah.
Okay. For things like stats, honestly, for most of this, I know in the nitty-gritty what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Most of this is concept stuff. Okay, the reason I handed over Scions at this point was at least everything is there, conceptually speaking. I'm still working on things like auras and different stuff like that, but everything meat and potatoes wise that's going to appear in that class is there. All I need is someone to say, does this look does something jump out at you as oh, you're missing this? And I understand that reeks of game design. We've all picked up a Wizard's book. We've all looked at classes. You guys all play on the show. So I don't know.
So for the most part, you're not looking for feedback on numbers or mechanics. You're looking for feedback on how it's read.
Okay, Susan. Susan's more of a numbers person, and I handed it to Susan first because I knew that. And she had some notes and stuff like that, but basically it's hey, is this shit? Should I start over? Because I feel like it's right. Same thing with Titan Shard. That's why I didn't paint in every single individual room and everything that's hanging in it, because I didn't want to get 95% done. It's this sucks. It's okay, I'll start over and waste a bunch of time.
Well, so let me couch it a different way then. I think we should expand the team anyway.
That's
if our
fine.
critical path changes from the maps to the writing, because there's a ton of that. At this point, there might be more writing left to do than there is art, which is awesome, which is the goal that we had 2 months ago. I know there's still a lot of art to do, but if that becomes our critical path, we should be adding another team member anyway. And I think that if we're going to do that, it might as well be somebody who has strengths in that area.
I agree.
And that might not be all they do. In fact, it probably shouldn't be all they do. But I think that so Val and Susan are copy editing. They're looking at grammar and punctuation and consistency in the specific way that we're naming things and things like that.
Yep.
I'm looking mostly at consistency and conciseness and
tone.
And tone and all these things. So my head, when I'm reading this stuff, isn't in the type of place that you need someone to be. And I can shift gears to it, but I'm not the best person for it anyway. So we might as well get somebody who's specializes. We need a specialist.
Now, sorry to cut you off, but
yeah.
While I don't know anything about games, I constantly say I don't know how to play D&D.
That's ridiculous, but okay. Yeah.
But something that I feel I am okay at is making sure that things make sense. That's a lot of my notes for the science thing is I'm confused about this. I want to make sure that things are as clear as possible. And a lot of times the comments that I make on things, there's what do you mean by this?
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's a very important one in game making, making sure that anyone can pick it up and read it and understand.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do have a thing where it's well, it makes sense to me. Catch up.
Right.
There'll be the
right,
travel
because you have
tables.
more stuff in your head.
Right.
Yeah.
It's dumb up there. But I'm straddling the line between mechanics and lore. I mean,
Right.
a lot of this book is lore, but it's also I'm Johnny DM. I need to be able to pick this up, even if I've never heard of Theria before. I need to pick this book up and both understand from a lore perspective, where things have been, why they are the way they are, and then from a mechanics perspective, how do I make that an actualized thing in D&D?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of walking on both sides here. And I mostly just want to make sure, because I plan on playtesting all this anyway. So from a math perspective, if it doesn't make sense now, which it probably doesn't, it will later.
Right.
I would love to have someone else in the team. My main concern is, how do we pay them?
Well, that's an excellent question.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I
Thank
didn't
you.
think of that.
Everything's
the
so
big
rigidly
problem.
budgeted
Yeah.
that...
Well, here's the thing, though, is I don't know how much the image list has been adjusted for the amount of money we've saved per piece, because we have saved hundreds, probably thousands of dollars at this point on the image list. Every time we have a line artist, colorist team up on a piece that we budgeted out for based on Arthur's original price, not Arthur's, Adam's original price points.
Right.
That saves us like $20 every single time we do that. The amount of money we saved alone on the $1,000 a piece we budgeted for the crowbar pages, the deity pages, we've saved thousands of dollars already. So I don't know if we've adjusted for that yet. And not that I want to go spending all that money, but if the critical path is that we need one more person on the writing team or revision team or game testing team or whatever we want to call it, then I think that's a good use of that, or at least some of it, is my thought.
I agree.
I have another thought.
Okay.
There is a community of people, perhaps some watching this video right now, who would gladly go through that sort of thing for free. And granted, we would have to be choosy because obviously everyone just wants the book early. So that would probably be a lot of the people would be like, I'll help. And then,
Right.
But I think we know a lot of people who are very critically minded in our circle who I would still want to pay them, but we wouldn't have to pay them a premium, let's say.
Nothing against our listenership at all. My fear there is you get into something like designed by committee.
Right.
I want this to be funneled through me. And once it's in print, people can take it however they want. They could change all the numbers at home. They could do whatever. But it needs to be a certain way now. And I don't feel like arguing with 4 or 5 other people about what the numbers should be.
Fair. Okay, with that in mind, maybe it's a good idea to table this part of the discussion just about the game design portion until we reach the game design stage, so that maybe that can pass through a few levels of editing.
We're almost
before
there.
We know for sure what we need.
I mean,
'Cause right now, it
we
seems
kind
like
of
this
are there
ambiguous
right
idea.
now. We're a little bit there right now, unless we're willing to leave everything in first draft stage, which I don't think is a big problem because there's certainly enough other stuff to start on first draft wise. But between Titan Shard Bunker, Scions, Werewolf and Vampire mechanics, and the beginning of the modules, there is enough there for somebody of a more game design mindset to start on
So
easily.
maybe that's what I'm trying to say is, like, we're almost done with regions already. Like, we could throw up the other 2 remaining regions onto our list for the week, and we'd be good.
Mm-hmm.
When we get far enough into that it's all just in the layout stage and I don't even need to post it anymore, and we're moving on to the next thing, if you guys want mechanics or classes or augments to be the next thing, then we can go through a pass or 2 of that just to see what we actually need. Because right now there's kind of this vague, like, do we need help with the editing? Do we need help with the note-taking? Do
Well,
we need
okay.
someone playtesting it? Do we need someone
And I think what Jameson is
mechanically
suggesting.
minded?
I think what Jameson is... Okay, so let's say that we did have the money to get somebody. Let's just operate on that assumption right now. And we could pay somebody to help out with some of this plate spinning. Like, okay, could you tag in and help spell check or help that, just like, I don't know. I'm giving an example because, I don't want to muck up the works here. I don't want to slow us down. But maybe just general feel of things. Like, how does this feel? How does it, taking a look at this, how does this feel? And let's say we did have the money to pay someone like that. It might be nice to have maybe that be one of the bits of process where someone can just kind of take a look. It's like, hey, does this feel fun? Like, yeah, it's spelled correctly, and yeah, does it feel like it should?
Yeah, I think that regardless of whether or not they're a specialist in game design or game mechanics, I think another person on our team would be overall beneficial. However we get them, wherever we get them from, if it's even a possibility, I think it's worth considering.
Yeah.
And we don't even have to come up with it right now. I think it's something we should think about over the next week.
I think we should extend the offer to the cast.
I'm actually writing out people that I think might be good for that right now.
Alex is someone who
Alex is
pops
on my
into
list.
my
Alex
head.
is a literal game designer.
Yes, that's the. I mean,
Yeah.
like, if we're talking
Problem
about,
is, he's a literal game designer. He has no fucking free time.
I know,
Yeah.
but like, if I could
Join the
sit,
club.
right, yeah, then he'd be perfect for this team. That's the. So, like, if that's
Rob.
something where it's like, hey man, could you look at this? Does this feel fun? What does this feel like to you? That
Yeah.
helps me immeasurably. That's what I'm looking for when I say it's like, hey, I got done Titan Shard Bunker. Could anyone take a look? And then 3 weeks goes by, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, like, that's what I'm looking for. It's like, does this suck? Like, I need. That's basically the feedback I'm looking for right now. Like, okay,
Yeah.
Rob just got done playing fucking 10, 15 games with werewolves with a group, and he sent me a bunch of notes, and it's like, that's awesome. That's invaluable playtest data. Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yep.
let's look at. Okay, first of all, I think we should see what we have in our budget right now, because we knew that we were going to fall short in some of the shipping stuff because of processing fees and all that. But we have saved a shit ton of money on things like art and maps and all that. So let's see what our balance is, and then see
Yeah.
what we can offer somebody and see what we can do. Because I agree with you. I think
I have been keeping a budget, so basically what I would have to do is go through what we've paid so far and say whether we came under or over on that
Yeah.
specific thing for every
mean-
charge that's happened so far.
To my knowledge, the only place we've gone over so far was with the Saba debacle, which we're still under,
Which we're still technically
even
under.
after that.
even after that,
So-
yeah.
We went a little over on the Countess because she had a bust and a body, so we went like $60 over on her.
Yeah.
Well, can we double that up for the vampire art? Because we're budgeted for that, too.
That's true. We
Okay.
could just use her vamp face for the vampire art.
I mean, I put a note for that in the image list because I
That's
meant to
smart.
bring it up. So since
There's-
you mentioned
Yeah, there's probably tons of stuff that we originally, it's like, oh, we have art for that. Like, every
Yeah.
once in a while it'll pop up and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
We also like put like halfling, and I'm like, why don't we just use a halfling?
right, why don't we
guys-
just Braylon?
Yeah.
you guys budgeted $570 for the Titan Shard Bunker map, which Jason just made for free.
He didn't make it for free. It was you have to pay for the licensing.
I pay.
Oh, the licensing,
yeah, I gotta
yeah.
pay for the licensing, but that's a one-time thing.
Yeah.
So any other maps that I make,
So that
Free.
saves us a bunch of money for the module, but I think the 570 is exactly how much.
no, it's less than that.
It's less than
No,
that, so
it's-
we will save a little bit more.
It's less than that.
Okay.
I think total it was like 300.
Oh, awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
so we saved some money there.
Yeah.
Well,
So
that was
it's-
£300 or euros, wasn't it?
Oh
or
yeah,
$300.
our money's worthless to them.
Yeah. So like
that was
450.
euros, so
Yeah.
it's probably like. No, I did the math, and there's a surplus.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So I think we're doing a good job of saving here and there. Extrapolate that over.
Yeah.
I like saying that word tonight. Over 250 some odd pieces of art, and I think we're coming in under. I would be shocked if we're not pretty far under what our original.
Unless one of us
projection
is
was.
embezzling, which none of us are.
I don't even know how to.
I don't
If
either.
I was
If I were
know.
smarter, I'd be a great criminal. But like, no, So okay, let's stop talking about Deadline right now, because I think we're all on the same page. And there are going to be some weeks where we exceed what you have, budgeted for time, and then there are going to be weeks where like Valerie's just locked away in school, or
the power goes out.
or the
Like,
power goes out.
Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't fucking happen again. I don't know anymore.
I'm just saying, like, I mean, building a little bit of a cushion in for disaster isn't,
I
that's part
agree.
of the process too. So.
I agree.
Before we move on, can I pretty please go to the restroom?
Fine.
Oh my god, can I do?
Fine.
Thank you.
No, Bree can, but Val can't.
Valerie, you stay here.
All right, I just hit the recorder again.
Oh wow, we doing a part 2?
I gotta edit this just because it's a
You
long
gotta-
one.
Edit out all the parts where we're swearing at each other.
As disagreements go, that was pretty
That was
civil.
good
I
for
feel.
us. Yeah.
I don't think it was a disagreement. I thought it was a conversation, but
It
I
is,
think.
yeah,
I think.
I don't-
I
I
think
never
everybody's
understand
clarifying
what's
their
going on.
position.
So
that's all. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you don't talk about it, then you assume everybody else's position, and that's what leads to disagreements.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, we've done that enough. I think I think a lot of, Jesus, man. Be it this project or the comic book one, like, I think it took us a while to find each other's rhythm and what we expected. So,
I mean, not for nothing too, but it would be a lot easier if we were all in the same goddamn state working on
Jesus
this.
Yeah.
So.
Christ, wouldn't it?
Every time we wake up, it's like, hey guys, I've gotten 3 hours of work done. It's like, oh, I just woke up. Here, I'm quickly responding. I'm going to say something wrong every single day because I'm tired.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. By the time you guys wake up, I'm at work,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
don't rush.
That's
Like,
right.
I can't
No, and
respond to everything anyway.
oh
I'll
yeah,
get-
yeah, and I can only work on things at night anyway, so it doesn't matter what time of day things get done.
Yeah, I like to try and respond to people as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I'm just saying for the purpose of this project, like, don't.
Stop.
Like, I know that you're getting up and getting to work. It's it's not like I'm texting you at 7 a.m. Eastern and being like, where are they?
Yeah, no.
So that being said, what are we on to?
Okay, we got modules to talk about. We got science to talk about. Any other big things besides those two and art?
I mean, art. I feel like we're pretty caught up on. I have to respond to everybody tonight with notes, but we are to the minute as far as stuff that's come in
Okay.
or things that need discussion. So, you,
There is one thing that I want to bring up, and it's kind of a big thing.
Okay.
I kind of wish Susan was here, as well, and Jasper, to be honest.
Anybody but us.
Yeah. So maybe it's too early to make this call because we're just I'm the things that I'm seeing are just region stuff, but there's also all the beasts, like all the different animals, the characters, the mechanics for things, the the different kinds of weather, the drugs, the plants, all the little things that I haven't seen yet. But as far as regions go and how I'm seeing things and how I'm keeping track of things, I don't know if it's necessary to have an index.
That would save some time.
Because as of right now, things are in 1, maybe 2 places. And in that case, people can look at the table of contents.
That's valid.
Now, like I said, there's a lot of things that we haven't gone to yet, and there may be more crossings of things. I don't
Right.
know because I haven't seen that stuff yet. But right now, it feels very silly to have an index.
That makes sense, because if it's like Bloodroot,
Right.
look in drugs, and then that's it,
Yeah.
that's valid. That's valid.
Oh, that's fun.
Jameson
Clarify and
just
valid.
Yes.
left. Bye, Jameson.
He's got to fill up a bottle. But yeah, I agree on, whoa. Val's gone.
What?
Oh, you're
Uh-oh.
coming back. You're coming back. Move around. There you go.
There you go. Awesome.
Now do this. We gotta get the pixels back.
Oh, it's like the iToy. Awesome.
Oh, I have to like make all of it move and then
Yeah.
it comes back. Okay.
Yeah, it's coming
Yeah.
back in
Oh,
pieces.
Skype, you rascal.
That was actually kind of fun. Anyway, no, I see where you're coming from, because there's not going to be a lot of things that are listed under multiple chapters. That makes
Right,
a lot of
and-
sense.
And also, if we're doing I don't know. It just, I think an index works better when people are looking up specific things, but it seems like our table of contents is pretty specific. And just by looking at the table of contents, you can find where you need to go.
Right.
Yeah, I don't. Again, I agree with you. If we get to a certain point and go, we should probably index it. But
Right.
I agree with you. I think even if you flip to like drugs, each individual drug is listed in the table of contents. So, like,
I don't think that is, but
No?
but we
Okay.
also have the read mores, which
that's
that
right.
would be
true.
the only
Cross
time you really
references.
go to the table of the index would be like, oh, she's a scion, what's that? Like, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Right, but then if you want to do that, either you have the cross reference or you just look at the table of contents. Where's scions? Like,
Yeah.
I think in this case, the type of book we're making, it's looking more and more like an index isn't necessary. And I thought originally that an index would be necessary because of the type of book that we're making.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
But
But I think the way we're
the-
laying it out is clear enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, hell,
Jameson?
that.
I feel no strong way one way or the other.
Tell my wife I said hello.
No, so I think that I can see it going either way, and I think the book would honestly not suffer for it either way.
Yeah.
So I think that for me personally, I'm willing to make a game time decision when it comes to starting to lay things out, see how it looks, see how our page count is, things like that. But as it's shaping up right now, I totally see your point, Val, and I agree that it's probably not necessary. If we have the room for it, I also don't see the harm in including one, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
So-
think. Yeah.
And I'm still, kind of keeping track of stuff, and anytime there's like I'm keeping most track of it, so if we do then later on decide to do it, it should be relatively easy.
Right.
Yeah.
But I've been thinking about this for a week or two now, and I just never got a chance to say it.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I would also like to get Susan and Jasper's opinions on it too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, especially Jasper. Well, he's never written a book though, right? Has he?
So fuck him. No.
No, I was just like, I see him as the layout person, but like I don't think he's ever.
I'm sure
worked
he's
on
done
that aspect.
indexes before.
Well, here's
because
the
he
thing.
Does, like brochures for companies and things like that.
Not just
Okay.
that, but he's an old hat when it comes to D&D, so he's read 1,000 of these books.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm.
So it might be good to just like, hey, what are you thinking?
And here's the thing, like honestly, from someone who's pretty deep into D&D and always has been, the only time I've ever gone into a D&D index is because it was so poorly laid out that I couldn't figure out where to find
Yeah.
the fucking rules for something.
That's
Yeah.
fair. I've done that for the
So-
player's handbook 50 times.
Exactly. It's like, okay, where the fuck do I figure out how to do
Yeah.
the math for my armor class? And that's
And
when you
half
go
the
to
times
index.
it's not listed anyway.
Yeah. So
So-
I
Right,
kind
and
of-
I think
yeah.
I think as far as I could tell, the book is very organized, and so I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue with people trying to find things by just looking at the table of contents.
And I think
so we're
a
better
nice.
than Wizards of the Coast, is what we're all agreeing.
I think a really granular table of contents would be preferable anyway. It's in the front of the book. It's
Yeah.
easy to understand. It's in broad strokes. I think
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
With that and the cross references, I think we're
Yeah,
on track.
like if
with
you've
that.
ever seen like a textbook table of contents, like it's very specific.
Yeah.
Um,
Bye,
night.
small child.
Bye.
And he's gone.
All right. All right.
That's part of the night.
I don't want to take up everybody's.
I like that you had to check over your shoulder.
Something might have gotten thrown at me. Might still.
He's right behind me, isn't he?
Hulk baby just comes out of the darkness.
All right.
Okay.
So, let's talk about modules real quick.
Okay.
We touched on our sheer panic over the amount of work that needs to be done on these. So let's get into the
Nitty gritty.
let's do that. So, the process thus far has been hitting up every single high-level backer, all the royals, all the people who are in the $3,000 tiers, and everyone's been great so far. Seriously, no one has had expectations that are crazy or anything. Everyone's worked with me very, very well so far. Everyone's been super patient. They understand that this is a process, and I basically told them we're going to go really slow and then super fast, so you need to be ready with your ideas. Everyone has already given me their pitch, except for Sean. Well, okay, Sean and Brian, I have a very loose pitch from them, and I need to sit down with them and hash it out in the next couple of days. Mm-hmm. The next step, then, is for me and Bree to make a bullet point list of their stuff, beginning, middle, and end, all the stuff they want, and then a rough idea of what artwork. I already have notes for all this. We have calls that are recorded. That's all going to be on us. The next part is going to be difficult because we then have to...
Expound upon that and make it into a module.
We basically have to make them modules. And I don't know exactly... We don't have a process for this yet. So...
Right.
no, you have made modules before though.
Yes.
Yes.
But I didn't have a team. So, like, I would just hunt and peck and try to make it, like, make sense.
And then Valerie and Kelsey would come in and try to fix it.
Well,
No, I wasn't even fixing. I was just doing the layout
Right.
well,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, Kelsey
and then
came in to
catching
fix
the
it.
spelling errors.
Yeah. And
of
then
which
also
there were
fixing
many.
it.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I think honestly, working from an outline really, really helps. All of these are supposed to be between like 5 and 7 pages each, like
7 to 10 pages each.
7 to 10 pages each, and that's with layout, like not
And
the
art.
writing itself should be I count art with layout, but you know, whatever. So the writing itself would probably be between 5 to 7 pages. So my point being, they're not super long. We have some towns that reach that length.
Yeah.
Um,
The way I've been thinking about it, I really want to play to our strengths on this. Obviously, Jasper's just layout. Like, it's like making him the cook on the ship in Group C. It's like, duh.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, Jameson excels in... how can I put this nicely? No. Okay, there's lots of times where, like, me and Brie will go nuts on a lore thing, and he's like, these 4 paragraphs? Now it's 1. And it's, like, gone. And it's like, oh! And he's like, but it's more condensed now, and it makes... It's like, we need that for the modules. We need it. Because we need to get these down to... We need to make a book, a second book. And it needs to be a certain page count, or we are fucked. So
Yeah.
we need...
I think we're gonna come in under then. Like,
I think
with
so, too.
Our book, I'm still like on the fence whether we're gonna be under or over. With the modules, I'm fairly certain we're gonna be under.
Yes.
What is the target page count for the module book?
132 pages.
For how many modules?
For
12.
It
was 13, now it's 12.
So now it would be 120 pages technically if we wanted to be crazy about it.
Yeah.
And that's
It's doable.
yeah,
Yeah.
very doable.
Okay.
Again, I don't see I haven't heard everyone's pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard like vague ideas of pitches, but I see maybe 2 or 3 of these hitting the 10-page limit.
There's a couple of them that are old-fashioned dungeon crawls, but, like, I'll give you an idea. Jane had a great idea of a failing circus, like a low-level, low-stakes adventure where it's like, okay, this circus is failing, and we need stand-ins to do things like trapeze work and put on shows and stuff like that.
That's
So it's
fun.
it's like how you guys started out in Fair Bay, or Group A had to put on a play. She's like, yeah, everything's gloomy. Now you're in a circus.
But
Like,
it has to be failing.
yes, but like there has to be a reason for you guys to walk in off the street and be
That's
circus
fair.
performers. But yeah, I don't see that being a 10-page module.
Exactly.
But yeah, if you guys got suggestions, like a hand raising thing, like, hey, I think we should do this, jump out at me.
So, first of all, I'd like to reemphasize my request for a game designer on our team.
I know.
But
Noted.
also,
Yes.
no, I think that once we have the skeleton of each one of these modules, which I agree we should be getting now, I'm totally on board for that.
Right.
Once we have the skeleton of each one of these modules, I don't think they are any higher or lower an overall priority to get written than any other part of the book.
I
Which
totally
means
agree with you.
that if we want to start them now, that's totally fine. But it's at the expense of getting something from the main book started now.
Right.
That's my only thing, is as long as, here's the thing, kind of go back to what we talked about before. As long as everybody's working on something, I don't care what we're working on.
Right.
Really.
Right.
I'd like to focus the majority of our efforts on single chunks at a time just to get them
Yeah.
done, so that Jasper has something to do and we can start to look at our page
Right.
count. But the first draft's got to get written. So if you want to start beyond that skeleton with these modules, I'm totally fine with that. I don't have a ton of input at this point because I don't know
Right.
what I also don't fully understand what kind of input you're looking for at this point.
Okay.
But that's where I'm at. As long as something is being written that wasn't written yesterday,
Yeah.
it might as well be modules. Like it's got to be something. So
And
Well-
these are going to ship together, so it makes no sense to put one in front of the other either way. Like, they
Right.
both need to be done at the same time because they're shipping together. If we have the module finished and shipped, there's nothing we can do until we get the main book done. Same. the
There's
other
no
way.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want what I'm trying to do right now, to be clear, is I'm trying to get the skeleton done for every single person because it's rounding up a murder of D&D players, and get them all on the same page. And we'll probably be leaving it at the bullet point stage for now, where we lock it all in. It's like, okay, is this what you want? And then we can go through after most of the main. When the main book is basically in layout phase and our hands are off of it, I want to start doing artwork for the modules and have us go through and write stuff.
I'd like to start artwork as soon as we're done the artwork for the main book. Like let's
Yeah,
move them
okay.
over. Let's get it rolling. Because what I don't want is for the artists to sit around for 2 months and suddenly they're busy if we reach back out. to
And then
them
we
again.
realize we're behind. Right.
Right.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
So I think we're all more or less on the same page as far as that goes. I think that neither book takes priority over the other, but for the purpose of organizing our process and making sure that everybody knows where they're at, I think that when we get to them to the skeleton phase,
Mhm.
it'll be a good point to, I guess reevaluate how we're going to do this. By then we might have a 7th team member. By then we might have a more complete idea of how much of the rest of the book is done. I don't know. Like
We might be overthinking it a tad in that.
maybe.
I mean, all of the skills that we're using on the base book are going to be used in, like, it still needs to be spell checked. The layout's still got to be correct. We can have some brevity here and there because we need it to fit it in. And
Mhm.
I think most of it's just going to be me and Bree trying to figure out the right
Yeah.
style for it, and then I think we might be
Yeah.
overthinking it a touch.
I think
Well,
so.
so here, the way I've been approaching this overall process is we're kind of like a snowplow. Bear with me for this.
No,
Get
no,
ready.
I'm along for the ride.
Well, a snowplow is something we have in the north, which
I'm from New York. How dare you? I've also watched Jack Frost.
You're from New York?
I've also watched Jack Frost.
so
There's a lot of snow
You are
in
the
Jack
least
Frost.
New York person I've ever met.
Well, it's because I'm from Long Island.
Oh, okay.
Long Island.
Island.
So I'm
I
thinking
see
of it like
Fame.
this. So Bree and me, and then Val, and then Susan, and then Jasper are starting with the front of this book, being the regions, and moving our way through. But in our wake, we're leaving a finished book behind us. And the way I'm looking at it right now is Jason is going up ahead and
was gonna
writing
say,
out
I
the
wasn't
parts
in there.
ahead of us.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I was about to say I wasn't in that.
Yeah, because right now what you're doing is you're running up ahead and kind of like planting the parts that we're going to get to next. We can't, when we're done with the regions, there's got to be something for us to move on to. And that's where you're kind of seeding that for us right now. So whatever has to get seeded, it's all, like I said, all the first draft of everything has to be written before the plow can get to it. Right. That's what we're called now, by the way.
The plow?
The plow.
Oh, we
Before
should
the plow
we should
gets
get
to it,
Mr.
we got to
Plow
have that
shirts.
first draft in place. So if we're going to write the first draft of the modules, that's fine. Because once the plow gets to it, it's going to get done. It's going to go through the thresher of all of us doing our back and forth revisions. I'm mixing metaphors.
Yeah,
at
you
this
are.
point.
That's what it's like.
Yeah.
Farm equipment or plow? Let's
Yeah.
go with.
It's like a snowblower. It goes through that thing.
Okay. You guys seen Fargo, right?
Yeah.
It's like.
Yeah.
And then
It
us,
goes into the
chainsaw,
snow hopper,
we-
and then so
By the way, I have not stopped singing Mr. Plow in my head since you
I can
started.
tell. Yeah.
It's
Wait, what? I've never heard of that.
it's the Simpsons reference. Don't worry, you weren't born yet.
Oh,
yeah, it was
Rude.
old good Simpsons.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
third season
Um,
Simpsons.
Yeah.
So that's my thought is whatever the plow is on now, which is regions, we need to have at least one or two other people out working on the other stuff to get it ready for when we're done with regions, and we got to move on to the next thing.
Right.
So if that's the module book, that's fine. If that's scions, if that's NPCs, whatever it needs to be, it's got to get done.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that's personally where I'm at with it, like where I don't really necessarily care. I just kind of want to move more or less in a front of the book to the back of the book order for layout purposes.
Right. And there is okay. I think we've been looking at the negatives for the module book a bit. Like I think at first you had to come to grips with how many modules we're doing, and the fact that that's the second book, and that it's being shipped with the first book. Now,
Go on.
there are some pros to go along with these cons. One, it's 120 pages, give or take,
Yeah.
of it being the same thing every time. It's not done in sections other than the division between module to module. It's the same style every single time. It's
Yeah.
the setup, it's what to expect. These things
Basically
are
the
here.
regions again.
It's basically that. So once we get one done and we understand what we're doing, it's just that 11 more times. We know what we're doing, and we can work on these simultaneously, and some of them are going to be a little longer, some of them are going to be a little shorter, but it's just that over and over and over again. It'll be a regimented thing, and it'll be something we can pick up and get faster at as we go along.
Yeah, I mean, here's the
That's
thing.
more
By the time we get
pro
to the
than
modules,
pros,
we're going to
but-
be
yeah.
seasoned veterans, and we're going to rip through that shit. Like, I'm not...
Yeah. No.
If we went... it's not working this way, and that's fine. But if we went, like, page 1 to page 400, and then page 1 of the module book to page 120 of the module book, by the time we get to the module book, we're a well-oiled machine. We're already working
Yeah.
out to be that way.
There
So
will be a callus over our souls. We'll feel nothing. Nothing.
I'm not even going to wake up. I'm just going to get out of bed, sit down at my desk, do this, and then...
And then go back to sleep. Yeah.
So, yes, you're right. The work necessary for the module book isn't that much different than for the
No.
other book,
Yeah.
the main book. So I'm not concerned about
It's a
that.
style thing, mostly.
Yeah. So my only consideration, not even concern, my only consideration is making sure that everybody's working. It's just like with keeping the art team working, making sure that everybody has something to do essentially every day.
Yeah.
So if you're working on the skeleton of the modules and then eventually the first draft of the modules, and whenever you need somebody to step in and give feedback or notes or play test or whatever,
Right.
that's totally fine as long as it it's being worked into the rest of our process, which it will be because this is our process.
Right.
You know.
Okay. Jumping over to Scions real quick. Val has notes for me already. Thank you for taking a look at that, because it was only a half hour before we sat down to do this. It was wholly unreasonable, and it's just when I got done. It wasn't. I wasn't timing it to say fuck you guys. Now, what I have there right now is a version of this that's good enough to show off, basically. At least you guys. Now, there's still a couple of things missing from that. To go over what has changed from the show to now. There are a few things. So essentially, this is a version of Scions that could be brought back on the show if we wanted tomorrow. It's essentially like, what if the gods just said, okay, that wasn't a terrible idea. Let's just fix it a little. So instead of it just be punches, I want to throw in, it's like, okay, well, they can kick and headbutt and stuff like that too. It's something people have wanted. I wanted powers to manifest. So like, instead of it just being punches and stuff like that, it might be a scream. It might be something. It's essentially just, how are these powers being manifested through emotion? That's all. And obviously there aren't bursts and blasts in 5e, so it's taking spell effects and tying that to a physical attack most of the time, which kind of puts them somewhere in between monks and warlocks and a couple of other things. So that took a long time to kind of balance out and make it make sense. I also added a couple of options to the emotional spectrum things. So there's anger and rage, just like before. There's love. Balance has been changed to calm. And there's fear and joy. Jesus. Yeah, so there's a branching path when you get to level 10 of each one of these things. So essentially, I want it to manifest differently based on... think of it,
the ones for hate a lot.
think of it like a renegade paragon option, right? So you're a scion of fear, right? And you basically decide, okay, I've learned that I can take the things I'm afraid of and overcome them and use those to fight oppression or whatever. Or I'm the scarecrow now. And I'm just going to make sure that that type of thing.
And everyone must suffer as I have suffered.
Right. Like, I've been afraid my whole life. Now it's time for you to be that type of thing.
Hate is punish the unjust or punish everything.
So it kind of changes the flavor of that without making it a completely new thing. We lost Val. Val had notes already. I know that Bree just had a chance to take a look at it, because again, I didn't even share it with Bree until she just knows I've been hitting my head against this wall for a few
I got
weeks.
it at the same time you did.
Yeah. And I don't think you've had a chance to look at them, Jameson.
I got to read like some of the first page.
That's fine. Val?
Okay. So there's a few like big things where the first thing is it the different emotions that are the subclasses?
Yes.
Okay, that needs to be like written somewhere.
No, I know. And this is missing key things. Like I have the path thing and it divides, but there's no path yet. Like it's
okay,
like,
that was the other thing.
Yeah,
I don't understand what the paths do.
I haven't been adding them yet, because I didn't want to go through all that trouble, and it's like, that's a stupid idea. Or, if someone brings up something to me and it's like, I didn't think of that. I just thought it was a neat idea. So yeah, that's not in there yet.
Okay. I think your range of emotions are like really good.
Thank you.
Like I think most emotions, will fit somewhere in there.
And I always figure like one day if more need to be presented, we could do that. Like it's like any other class. Like we just go, it's like, oh, well, we just added Thunder Barbarians or whatever.
Yeah.
Like
right.
We added Goku monks.
We added Goku monks, yeah.
Now the other thing is you only choose one emotion, right?
Yes.
Okay, that needs to be written somewhere.
Yes, it does. I was thinking about that as I was writing up today. It's like, yeah, you can't dual spec in emotions or tri-spec or something like that, like it, because that would completely break the thing. Like, also from a role play perspective, it would break, because the entire point is you feel so strongly this one way that that's how your powers.
Look at the show. Thanatos was hate, Bree was anger,
Yeah.
Dagon was balance, and Arya was love.
Yeah.
Like, they were those emotions.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I think I really like how the D&D books do it, where in the beginning there's a little table that shows you at each level what's happening, and then you can go through and find that section. I think that would be
absolutely
really important
that's going to
have.
be in there. Yep.
Then there's like some wording things that like aren't even really worth being talked about right now.
Not yet.
Where
no.
I'm just
some of it was just get the idea down on paper before making it, because the wording thing, like Susan already told me, it's like, yeah, we're gonna make it one, because like I go back and forth sometimes between con save and constitution save, dumb things like that.
Oh yeah, no, it's all Constitution. It's all the full word written out. That was another thing I was gonna say, but then I realized it wasn't important to say.
Right.
Every time there's anything, that goes full word.
Yes.
From now on, because I was looking at the books and stuff, and that's how they do it, and so
that's fine. Not looking to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
Just the sign.
Just the sign. Oh, by the way, that's the other thing. The name of the sign's got to change, obviously.
Yeah.
Because it's not.
Because it's confusing as fuck.
It's going to be confusing as fuck when they implement 5e Scions, if they haven't already.
Yeah.
So it's not that. Like it's
it's
not even a homebrewed Scion.
like...
It's a completely different thing. It's a different.
Are we okay? Are we going to mention that, like, because I think, can we say Scion? I think we can say Scion.
I have no idea. I
I
don't know if that's part of
There's
this.
no way they own that word. Yeah.
Yeah, because psionic is a thing that exists.
It's our word.
No, I think we can use the word scion, but I'm not even sure if it's worth mentioning that, like, oh, these used to be known as scions or anything like that. Because first of all, the SIE, we can't say Warforged straight up. Like, we're not allowed. So that would kind of, like, we say that about scions, but then we don't say that about the Warforged. It's a little bit tonally weird. And
I mean, we could even do something like, the title of it, and then previously this, like, just to, like, if we wanted to.
Yeah, that's right. That was more my thinking.
Yeah.
There is the word psionics in the.
That's going to be changed too.
No. In the open game license.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, I think it should be okay if we were to. Yeah, because I don't know, just because we've had Scions on the show, and while that was in 4E,
yeah,
I don't know.
It's like I was partway through this, and it's like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. They're not Scions, like they're not. Like in our world, it means something different, but I just think it would be. We could justify it all we want, but it's just going to confuse the shit out of people.
Right.
Okay. Like, I wouldn't know. Like, the only Scions I know are from the show.
Exactly.
So
right.
I have no basis of differentiating.
Yeah, no, I posted.
For me, it's like, oh yeah,
tweet.
this is how Scions work. What do you mean?
Yeah, no, it's not. They're like telekinesis and a bunch of other stuff. They're not this. Yeah. It's different. So, yeah.
So, we'll come up with a new name for those, and we'll figure out when we get closer whether or not we should write, like, previously Scions, but I even think that would be confusing. And again, we can't do that with other things, like the Drow and the Warforged. Or the Eladrin and the Warforged. We could technically do that with the Drow, but then that would also be confusing, because why are we doing that for the Drow and not the Eladrin?
Right.
Okay.
Like,
I like the fear, like, attack names. I guess that's what they're called. I don't know.
Ability name, yeah, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, I didn't know if that was too up its own ass, but I wanted to use the.
I don't think so.
No, okay, because I like
that Thantos is in the main book. I like that a lot. Haha. Snuck in there with a root word. Hell yeah. Anyway.
So obviously this has got a long ways to go, but I feel like this is on the right track.
And when I'm reading
Yeah.
it reads to me a lot like how the Wizard's books read to me.
Yeah,
So-
I pulled up the Wizards book and was sort of comparing how they write the classes, and like this is very similar. And like I mean it's not done. So like
No.
there's a few things where I'm like, well, I think this should be worded differently, but it's not even worth it to
Yeah.
talk
Right.
about right now, and we can deal with that later.
Mostly, I wanted to present this. So, this is one of the largest single projects in the book, in terms of, from a technical writing standpoint and a balancing standpoint. This is the biggest one. It's probably going to be 10 pages of shit, and I wanted to make sure that this was at least on the right track. That's why I wrote it the way I wrote it. Like I didn't want to just jot all the ideas down. I wanted to at least write it like it appears in the book so that I can compare and contrast. And I think a couple of more passes and it'll be ready enough to play test, and we can see what works and what doesn't then. But
Yeah,
I-
because that's the thing. Like I can't help with
the numbers
is
of it,
this
yeah.
balanced, or like, oh well then this one seems more powerful from the moves and stuff. Like I don't have that mind. That's not.
And hell,
my
the paths
thing.
aren't even in there yet. So whether you
Right.
choose, like, okay, one of the big things with Scions was they hurt their friends a lot by accident, right? So
Yeah, there was a thing about that. Like
Right.
where like that doesn't hurt your friends as much, and then the path like helps that as well or something.
right, exactly. So that'll get that margin will be greater as, like, already if you're a Scion that uses love, you're not going to hurt your friends as much as someone who uses hate or anger or something like that, or even fear. But if, let's say, you're in that hate category and you choose the better of the two options, it's not going to hurt your friends as much. Where if you say fuck everything, it'll probably
Can we
help
call
with
it
damage.
that instead.
No. I was trying to be more professional, but like if you
Why?
choose that, oh yeah, that'll help with your damage, but you'll probably end up doing that to your friends too. I wanted it to be a give and a take, and it feel.
Yeah, and I think the ideas of some of these things are really cool.
Okay.
I think they're very interesting, and like that's really the only thing that I can contribute.
And that's all I
Does
wanted.
it seem cool?
That's all I wanted, because if you basically if any one of you looked at it, it's like, this doesn't seem cool. Like, it's like, okay, why not? Like, what? Let's boil that down. Why doesn't it seem cool, and what needs fixing? That's it. So from a balancing perspective, we're not there yet. I need to work on that, and then we'll add someone to the team, and I'm gonna get 50 emails from the people who watch this, and yeah. So I'll field all those questions when we get them.
Yeah, just
Sorry.
to preempt that,
No,
that's not how we're recruiting, guys.
No.
Yeah.
it's too late. They've already written their emails.
We cut it,
Yeah.
but we have a list of people that we're gonna hit up from the cast.
We'll
'Cause
see. We'll
It's
see what's
easier
going
to
on.
keep things in house
And
for
it-
right now.
There might even be a time where it's like, hey, last minute play testing. Let's open it up.
And also, Jameson told me he hates every single listener and doesn't want to work with them. So that's part of it too.
I think
Especially you, Rob.
he knows what he did.
You know, Scottish and shit.
Fucking
Being
accent.
all Scottish and shit.
Wait, what did Rob do?
He didn't do anything. It's just yeah.
Oh,
Not a damn
okay.
thing. I love Rob. Rob's
Yeah.
great.
Rob's
Rob-
good people.
Rob's so fucking nice. And
Yeah.
That was part of the joke. Was like, there's nothing
Okay.
he could have done.
No,
Yeah.
I feel bad for joking. Actually, I'm sorry. Man.
I take it back, baby. Just don't leave.
All right.
Anyone got anything else? This has been a good
Um,
2 hours of our lives.
I have a question. But it's doesn't seem super necessary, but if there's a quick fix and someone knows about it, great. Does anyone know how to get my and Susan names on the files of like who edited it and things? Because there's Jameson and Bree and Jason, and Susan and I aren't, like, our names don't get attached to the file documents. Does anyone know easily how to do that?
Wait, what do you mean?
What do you mean?
Really?
So like if you go into any edits, like the version history of anything, like it'll tell you who made the edits.
Right.
I get
It's-
emails whenever you do that, and it says you edited
Yeah, it says Susan edited this.
Yeah.
Valerie edited
Really?
Yeah.
that. Here, open up one of the regions. It doesn't matter which one.
Fucking anything.
Yeah.
Fucking Northlands. Let's go to the Northlands, baby. Winter.
Well, I don't think we've touched Northland.
Well, why did I pick the one? I
Yeah,
picked the
that
one.
was- that was
I'm
a
a
little-
piece of shit.
Don't do Battered Coast
White
either.
Wolf Valley.
There you
Betrayal Ridge. All right, I'm looking at Betrayal Ridge.
Yeah, I know you
Okay.
guys did Betrayal Ridge.
What am I looking at?
Okay, so you want to go here? Let me just have a
Last.
second.
Wow. Okay. The last edit.
No, you want to go to
Version
Valerie's
history, it's
talking
down here.
about version history, and then see version history.
Yeah.
Jason Brianna, all
Oh,
anonymous
yeah.
users. You're
Anonymous
right.
Yeah.
users.
Yeah.
That's rude.
That's so weird, though. It tells me exactly who does what.
Are you logged on to your Gmail account when you make the edits?
Yes.
That would be my only guess.
Well, you guys have been requesting access to specific documents too. Are you not like co-owners of the folder or something?
Yeah.
It's possible
know
that
how
we
it
just get access to read
Yeah.
and write,
Yeah.
but like, because especially using the Trello, and sometimes things aren't moved around, which is fine. But
Yeah, I stopped moving.
I
things on
like
Trello
being
a little
able to see where we were at, so I can compare it and figure out exactly where we are. And it's a little harder to do that
Yeah.
when me and Susan are both anonymous.
So that leads me to a question. Do we want to continue to use the Trello? Because I think it could stand to be redone at this point. Like I don't want to spend the time to do it if we're not going to use it. But if it's still useful to people, I think I can simplify it, because basically the amount of the amount of cards that were getting moved around got to a point where it's just too hard to keep up with.
That's
It's
kind of
so
weird.
much easier for me to just go through like, okay, everyone posted what they did. I'm gonna change this list
Excuse
and then
me.
post it again.
Huh.
So
Yeah,
that's what
so-
I'm
And-
doing.
I like the Trello. I like just seeing exactly what's. I mean, and it's different for me and Susan because we have one column. And I know
Yeah.
I get to touch everything that's in that column, and that's all I have to worry about. I know you guys, because you guys have like a bunch that I think is just you guys like going back and forth and stuff, and that might be more confusing, but I
Yeah.
like using the Trello. I see, okay, here's something that I have to do. Let me go in, see if
Okay.
I've done it or if Susan's done it, and then I know exactly what to work on.
All right. So that's a job I'm going to give myself this weekend. I'm going to overhaul the Trello to make it more wieldy
Mhm.
for everybody, so that you can kind of see it better at a glance exactly what it is, where everything is. Because I had it at one point, I had it itemized out to like specific components of specific individual NPCs and shit like that. We don't need that. Condensing the NPCs down into 4 documents, I think, is going to save us a lot of headaches, both in terms of the editing process and the organizing process. So I can do that in the Trello too and make it a lot easier to read and understand.
Something that might be really helpful is like a being proofed category or something like that, because every time Valerie and Susan finish something, they move it over to second draft finished, which is a
Yeah.
little bit confusing.
Well, I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to change those columns. And let me know what you guys think about this. And I think I'm going to change the columns to names for who is looking at a specific document.
I'm fine
So-
with that.
That sounds perfect.
So if the first draft is being written by Jason, or if the first draft is being written by Bree, it's in your column.
Yeah.
As soon as it's done, move it into the column of the next person who has to touch that document.
That sounds perfect. Yeah.
Let's change it. Let's do that. I was thinking about that today, and I think that's a change I want to make as long as everybody's on board with it.
Yeah, that
Because
sounds perfect.
that's what we did essentially with Val and Susan's column and Jasper's column. I think we should just do it for everybody, so everybody knows, like, oh, it's in my column. I'm going to deal with it and move it into whoever is supposed to deal with it next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Because I guess it doesn't seem as important what stage it's in. It's just who needs to work on it. Because
Who
everything
needs to
needs to
touch
get
it.
done eventually.
Yeah.
And the theory, and which so far has been true, has been if you're dealing with it, you know who has to deal with it next.
Yeah.
So you put it in their bucket, and then
Mhm.
we'll move it on.
Yeah.
Okay. So
That
I'll
sounds
do
fun.
that
And
this
there is a
weekend.
version history too, if anything ever gets lost, because that's happened to me a few times making a list. It's like, is this the first or second time Jameson's checked this out? And then you can just go into
Yeah.
version history and see.
So I
Exactly.
I shared that again with you and Susan
If you follow that link, that might work.
because you weren't listed, but I know you've had access to it. So I don't know. Maybe it's just
maybe you just gave me the link to it
Maybe.
instead
that
of
might
like
be what it was.
sharing
Yeah,
it with me like through Google.
Maybe.
All right. So, we're going to continue to just rip through this. There are going to be probably theme weeks where, like, it's like, oh, it's NPC week. And it's just me doing stats and write ups for NPCs.
Yeah.
And I think we'll make a lot of headway on stuff like that so it doesn't look as much like, oh, we're not done anything. Like, complete.
Well, I mean, I think that for you two specifically, if you don't have anything specific to work on, you know that you can always start the first draft on something.
I know, there's always something
Yeah,
specific.
there's always something. Yeah, but if there ever isn't, there's always the first. You can always cut open a new piece of
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, I did that.
I was about to
Yeah.
say, that has not been our issue where we're just like, there's just nothing to do. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been
that's-
worried that people have been bored.
You know, I have been sleeping at night. Maybe we could fix that.
Yeah, let's do something
You know
about
you
that.
fucking haven't. I know, because every morning you come in half dead.
That's
So-
nothing cocaine and caffeine can't fix.
So, my goal, based on, so I think the last 3 weeks since Dragon Con, has it been 4 weeks? I don't even know. Have been very educational
Yeah.
in terms of the workload that everybody can manage. And I think that we are doing very well, and I think we're going to get better in terms of how much is getting done per week, obviously depending on circumstances. The holidays are going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Halloween is a friggin' nightmare where I live. Like, it's just... So, based on my original projection of getting all the regions done by the first week of October, obviously that was optimistic. I would still like to get all of the regions done 100% and in Jasper's lap by Halloween.
I
Yeah.
think that's possible.
I think that's very doable,
Totally.
but I think
that's
I would
more than
like to start focusing a couple of the regions that are almost done
Yeah.
and get them 100% done so that he does have something to do. But Bree, like you say, you just started the first draft of the rest of it, so I think it's perfectly feasible to finish it all between
sure.
now and the end of the month.
Like,
And if
once we
if we
add
come in,
those 2 remaining regions, they're going straight to you, because...
yeah. So
Do you mean that everything is written? All the regions are written by the end of the month, or they're all in Jasper's
I would
hands
like
by
them
the end of the
all to
month?
be in Jasper's
to be in
hands by the
Jasper's
end of the
hands.
month.
Yeah.
That's like
Okay.
Oh, no, that's a
Yeah.
fix.
I don't know how feasible that is, but
Well-
we can try.
so how feasible. Let me ask this: how feasible would it be to have 3 regions in Jasper's hands this weekend? Because we have 3 regions at least which are already like halfway in his hands.
Tomorrow's Friday.
Yeah.
By
it's a
the end
3-day
of this
weekend.
weekend, absolutely not.
Wow.
Well,
Even the
okay,
ones
so
that are
Valerie's
like
great at
almost there?
negotiating.
okay, here's the thing.
Big O. Big O. Big O.
And
No one got
this
that.
can be done better, and I don't want to say it's my fault, but I feel like it's my fault. The actual amount of work time it takes
Yeah.
to do this, to do the revisions, isn't long. What takes more time is me having the time to sit down and look at it, Susan having the time to sit
Yeah.
down and look at
Right.
it. Like,
Yeah.
if we were completely free and we worked on this, it could take a day, maybe 2, for a thing to get, passed back and forth. But the thing is, I can only look at things at nights, maybe, but really only on weekends. So if, we could be waiting and just kind of sitting on a document because I haven't had time to look at it.
Right.
And I feel bad about that.
No. Look, you're in college.
And there are definitely going to be times, like, it happened with me to Jameson one time, and it's happened with me and Susan a few times, where it's like, we can just go right back and forth because we're both online at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe something that we could try to do in the future is, like, Valerie, like, before you sit down to edit stuff, you could just be like, hey, I'm going to be online to edit things. If either
Yeah.
Brianna or Jason is around, just fucking say my shit's good so that I can do a second revision
Yeah.
tonight. And we
Let
could
us
try
know
to
when you're
arrange something
plugging
like
in,
that.
and we'll
Yeah.
try to work,
Okay.
'Cause-
So here's the thing. Like
that
looking
might
back,
help, yeah.
looking back at the regions right now, 10,000 Horns has 4 of the 5 regions already in Jasper's hands.
Yeah.
I would love to get the 5th region in Jasper's hands. White Wolf Valley has 3 of the 5 regions in Jasper's hands. I'd love to complete those and get that entire region to him. Morning Shore is almost there. Northlands is almost there.
I don't
Like-
know how almost there Northlands is. And that's sort of another thing.
Going
Because I know
back over.
Susan like printed out and like wrote a bunch of, already made a bunch of comments. I think Northlands is closer than things are when they first come to me and Susan, because for the majority of, mostly like all the spelling and grammar should be okay. But it's not gonna be a like one revision and done.
No,
thing.
I-
I
And
don't.
that's fine. And that's
I don't think
probably
it's
a
going
bad
to.
example. But if those first 3 regions got to Jasper by like Columbus Day,
When is
I
that?
don't know
would-
when Columbus Day is.
Yeah,
Monday.
It's coming up. Yeah.
She's been very
or
clear about this.
Indigenous Peoples Day. If it gets to Jasper by Monday, those 3 regions, Morning Shore, White Wolf Valley, 10,000 Horns, they're almost there.
And something I might want to do is give both Valerie and Susan different colors, because your blue is blending in with Valerie's blue, because you got 2 here and here.
Yeah, because when Susan and I tag each other individually, it's all blue.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna give you 2
Yeah, but
special
I can-
colors as well,
I could
and
read
just
my
have
name.
both. Yeah, but it doesn't call out to you the same way that just
My name
knowing-
does call out to me.
Well, then do it.
I know that name.
You tagged me today.
I've been tagging you for a while.
You tagged me
My-
today. What have you tagged me and that I haven't done?
Overdale has been you for a while.
Yeah.
Wait.
Wait, no, we're
I'll
gonna
break
keep
your
scrolling
fingers.
up. We're
Hold
just
on.
gonna keep scrolling up. When's the first time I tagged you for Overdale? You want to make a big deal out of this? We
Yeah,
will.
let's
All
go.
right.
What
So
needs
the
to be done for
first time I
Overdale?
tagged you for Overdale. There's ready for notes from Jason.
Move
and
your
that
hand.
was-
I want to open Overdale right now. What's the notes? Now
This
we're doing
was like
this.
here all the time, just for the fucking record.
No, it's not. I'm. This is it. This is the hill I die on today. Fuck me. Where's
Regions?
region? Yeah, it's too late
I
at
believe
night
it's White
to
Wolf
do this.
Valley.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
Overdale.
I feel like I'm finally learning what's in each region at this point because I've done
And then we
go back
changed
to
the
notes.
regions.
Yeah, we moved 1 to Morning Shore, and we've moved a few more. These are questions that Valerie asked that I don't know the fucking answers to because I didn't make it.
But the date's there.
Well, Valerie had a question.
Right, but
Look, as
Wait.
far as Valerie can tell in the wiki, their deaths were 2 months apart. So, like, they're not near simultaneous. Is that the right term to use? That's the question.
Yeah.
okay. I can get back to that.
Yeah. This is great.
And I think there's
I think
something.
Jameson's wife actually went to bed already.
That's
This is
fine.
so mean.
Okay, let's
Not yet.
Okay.
So my point being that
Yeah.
I think that initially, beginning of October, for the entire region section of the book, super optimistic. End of October for the entire region section of the book, more reasonable. I'd like
Yeah.
to shoot for it, even if we can't hit it. Like it's just like with the end deadline. If I'd like to shoot for it, even if we're not going to hit it,
Right.
because it's the biggest part of the main book. We're almost there.
Yeah.
Let's finish it.
I think.
I mean,
we should do
in
that.
in the meantime, we have plenty of other stuff to work on. If the ball hasn't been passed back to you for regions, but let's see if we can finish the regions. I would like that to be a case study in the way the rest of this book is going to go.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And everybody's busy. I get it. Like, I mean, school's obviously top priority. Work, family, all that is top priority.
Posting episodes. Jason had to edit an episode today.
Mm.
So,
Fucking power outage.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was fun.
So, yeah, I mean, shit
We saw
happens.
it.
Like stuff goes crazy. Power goes out. You get lost in the mountains. Holidays happen.
I don't even think
So-
we're gonna celebrate Halloween. No one in this town.
You know what's spooky? Deadlines.
I'm just gonna go as a draft of this book.
That's.
I thought you said draft at
I'll
first,
be
and
April.
I'll be
I'll
an
be
angry
the
backer.
tariffs.
Oh, let's not. No, not the tariff.
See, I chose the spookiest one.
No.
That's one of the reasons we're so unwilling to, like, any scrap of money we save, we're like, put it away, because we're not sure about the tariffs yet.
We don't know about the shipping tariffs yet.
We might be in World War III by the time this book ships. I don't know.
Oh God.
Honestly.
That's the thing I think about, because I'm full. I mean, I got sent home yesterday for anxiety. So
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway,
I don't believe anything's ever going to get better. My dog's sleeping. It's adorable. Jason, show him. Move your chair out of the way. Dog's sleeping. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him.
it's a wonderful hamster.
How peaceful. Wish we could have that.
He doesn't even know we have a president. He has no idea what tariffs are. He's not worried about Hong Kong. He's just...
My God.
He went for a long walk, and now he's tired and he's sleeping.
Here's the thing.
Anyway, goodbye.
Doesn't have to worry about political protests, shutting down your bus routes. You're waiting at a bus stop that your bus will just never come to. Donald Trump Jr. was at my school today.
I'm so sorry.
Oh.
And so there's a big protest, and I guess it shut down the street. Like, I purposefully didn't walk that way because I didn't want to go near it, so I went to a bus stop farther away. But the bus has to go through that, and I guess they rerouted the bus without telling anybody. Like, I got no notification, like, hey, this bus is being rerouted. So
Well,
I just
it's
was
so
waiting
dumb.
there.
Here's the thing. It takes doubly long because there's the protest, then they got to clean up the oil spill from his hair that fucking drifts through town. It's really, he's the greasiest individual I've ever seen.
Ugh.
He is the physical embodiment of the movie Wall Street, and yet
We still post this? We still
Except stupid.
look. Let's just focus on making a fantasy book that people can lose themselves in for a couple of hours. How about that?
And
Yeah.
that's why I only said the facts.
I know. I have so many opinions, though.
You have a lot
So-
of opinions.
So I'm gonna go work on the
Earlier,
book.
Pippin yawned. Look.
I need-
Oh, I
He
love
yawned.
pet yawning pictures.
And then afterwards, I was able to get him coming down from the yawn too, so he's going. So there's that.
Oh,
palate
good
cleanser.
stretch.
Oh, look at that stretch.
Ooh, good stretch.
Oh, he's done.
I just gave up.
He's gonna stop there.
Done. Okay. Let's let everybody go. I'm done my major project for now. I got a couple of little revision things to work on, but I'm free. So the last couple of weeks, I've been working on Scions a lot. I can work on editing and stuff again, and point me in a direction. What needs to be gobbled up? I'm Pac-Man. Let's go.
All the times I tagged you in those.
Bitch. Um,
My God.
that was
That's
involuntary.
violent.
That was, oh, my Tourette's.
You know what he said the other day when I went in to visit them and I was sitting on their bed? His actual literal words were,
Oh, you
as
better
long
give
as she
context.
goes, as long as she goes to bed with bruises, I won. Those are the words that left his mouth. And now we're going to end this call before he can explain himself. Let's go!
There's a lot of context that needs to be. You know what? I'll just
Right,
wake
but
up.
there's never any context when I say anything inappropriate, right, Jason?
There's yeah, but it's usually like it's Valerie.
That is the context.
I'm just gonna wake up tomorrow to the hashtags cancel Jason, and my career will be over. That's how I'll just deal with that. Good luck, everybody,
That's my bad.
and thanks for doing the meeting stuff.
Yeah, thank you guys. We'll meet up again next week.
Okay,
All right, guys.
bye guys.